It's time for another Mercury retrograde. Dun dun dun. Oh no. Hang on to your ass. This one is in the sign of Leo. So let's get into it. We are going to use the celestial bodies. It's more of like an oracle deck. It's really cool. It's really beautiful. So I thought I would use it to help illustrate our Mercury going into retrograde this go round. So this one is happening from July 18th until August 11th, 2025. It is completely in Leo. We're not doing any halfsies this go around. We are solidly in the sign of Leo. So a retrograde any retrograde is going to have 3 different sections, phases. It's going to have its pre-shadow, the actual retrograde, and then the post-shadow. So this one started around June 30th and it went all the way up until July 18th. So that's going to be 4 degrees up to 15. Then from the 18th through the 11th, we are dealing with the actual retrograde. And then from the 11th through the 24th of August, that's your final shot to get it right. Whatever this has to do with you, you have another shot to get whatever you did from June 30th through the 18th of July, get it right, okay? So a retrograde is essentially just a internalized energy of that planet. Leo is what we're dealing with. Whatever house Leo falls into your chart, those are the topics and themes. Leo is your passions, it's your childlike wonder, your ego, it's where you feel like you need attention. It's your purpose in life. It can be about your children. So let's quickly get into it. So this particular retrograde starts out in an opposition to Pluto. Yeah, a card for Pluto too. So this starts out already like being very intense. There's definitely going to be an unearthing of sorts, something that may have laid dormant within you or within someone else that you're dealing with. So there's definitely a potential for things to come to the surface that you didn't expect with this particular retrograde. So that's going to really get very close to that opposition around the end of it. So August 11th is when we're really inching in on that particular opposition. The other thing I want to spell out to you or kind of explain to you is when Mercury has a conjunction exactly like within minutes to the sun, that's called a cazimi. That's an aha moment. That's August 11th. No, I'm sorry. That is July 31st. July 31st. That's going to be an aha moment. That's when Mercury is in the heart of the sun. Inching up to it might feel a little uncomfortable, and then you might feel a little like hazy about what you're supposed to do with this aha moment, but you'll sort through it. You know, when you have that last pass, you're going to be like, oh, now I know what to do. So let's talk about how this is going to affect each sign. Aries. This is happening in your 5th house. So of the signs, you and Aquarius are the most likely to have that dreaded or exciting ex coming back. The 5th house has a lot to do with dating, spicy time for fun, your children, your hobbies, possibly even monetizing your hobbies. So this Mercury retrograde is definitely going to be calling on you to reconsider maybe past dates that you've been on, maybe different rules, policies, or things that you've done with your children. Maybe you want to redo something there. Possibly you are picking a hobby back up. So I feel like this is a retrograde that's probably going to be a little bit fun for my Aries folks. So enjoy this Mercury retrograde. Taurus risings. This retrograde is happening in your 4th house. So you might be reconsidering contracts or leases for rentals, possibly buying a house, renovating a house, decorating a house. You might be going back over some like childhood wounds, childhood issues. Maybe you're dealing with your parents. Maybe you're looking at putting them in, like an elderly home or medical facility, something like that. So, this retrograde is going to have you definitely looking at these things. I would definitely not sign anything in relation to any of these things because, it's an angular house. It's very, very important. If you must sign any contracts at all whatsoever, make sure you are looking at it, combing through it, get a second set of eyes on it, and be very careful with signing any contracts. Gemini risings, this is happening in your 3rd house. With this, be careful with purchasing cars. Don't sign anything having to do with the car lease or loan or anything having to do with cars unless you get a second set of eyes on that contract. You could also be dealing with issues with siblings, neighbors, HOAs, small time commerce. Maybe you're also looking at sales of your own goods or services, how you're organizing that. You could also be looking at communication styles. So you could be really truly dealing with a lot of different kinds of people with this particular Mercury retrograde. Maybe you have to check your ego, or a sibling has to check their ego so that you guys can reapproach each other. Anything having to do with like your childhood. So sometimes your cousins, your aunts and uncles might also fall into this retrograde for you as well. So be careful with that. My Cancer risings, this is happening in your 2nd house. This is your money, how you make it, how you spend it, your resources. It's also about your values. So this Mercury retrograde may have you reconsidering, possibly how you're spending money as a reflection of your ego. Maybe you keep buying shit you don't need because you're trying to impress somebody and you're starting to realize, oh shit, everyone thinks I look a certain kind of way, but I don't have any money in my savings account. That's very much the energy of this retrograde. But again, it's also about your values. And maybe you're starting to realize that your values have more to do with stability than with impressing people. So that's definitely a possibility for how this retrograde might treat you. So be careful with that. And I hope that you enjoy your retrograde and possibly come out of it a little bit more fiscally responsible. Leo risings, this is your Mercury retrograde. It's happening in your 1st house. This is you. This is all about your ego, how you're perceived, how you want to be perceived, how you're perceiving the world. It's about your physical body, what you're doing with it, how you're putting it out there. This Mercury retrograde, you may have realized that maybe you're not being perceived the way you want to be perceived. Now, the 1st house or the ascendant, that's not always the mask you wear. It literally is you. Maybe you're reconsidering who you are, what drives you, your passions. And you're starting to realize that like the life you're living, the way you're acting isn't an actual reflection of who you are. So this is a big retrograde for you. I hope it goes well for you. Let me know how it goes. Finally, for this video, Virgo risings, this is happening in your 12th house. So you might be realizing how your ego maybe has caught up with you and has led to some of your like biggest downfalls. The 12th house is often like where we are the cause of our own self undoing. Maybe you've been isolating yourself as opposed to putting your needs or wants, those things that you need help with, out into the world. It could also be, possibly those addictive things that we do that lead to our downfall. Virgo risings, this is going to be a heavier one because you are also dealing with that opposition to Pluto. But really listen, really sit with yourself for this particular retrograde. A retrograde in the 12th house is always going to be a little heavier, a little deeper, but it's always going to pay out in spades. So sit with it. I promise you'll get through it. It'll be fine. Try to enjoy it as best as you can. So follow for the next video.